Tequila, it's way more than just a spirit, right? It's this global cultural phenomenon, the heart of a multi-billion-dollar industry. But behind all the celebratory shots and the fancy craft cocktails, there's a really complex story, a story about biology, economics, and ecology. So today, let's peel back that label and take a look at the true cost of tequila. And that story kicks off with a number that is, well, it's pretty mind-blowing. As of late 2023, Mexico was sitting on a surplus of over 500 million liters of tequila that it couldn't sell. For an industry that seemed like it could only go up and up, this is a massive shock to the system. So you have to be asking, how does that even happen? How do you go from a total gold rush to that? To find the answer, we have to dig in and uncover the hidden story of the plant itself, the blue agave. You know, if you really want to get the tequila industry, you have to first understand the plant it all comes from. And this is no ordinary crop. This is the Blue Weber Agave, and its unique biology is really the key to everything that follows. Just look at that maturation period, 6 to 14 years. I mean, imagine trying to predict consumer demand for a product that far into the future. It's almost impossible. And that single biological fact, that long, slow wait, is the key. It dictates the entire wild rhythm of the industry, creating this built-in time lag that has some pretty dramatic consequences. So what happens when you plug that slow biological clock into a fast-moving global market? Well, you get these chaotic and really punishing economic cycles that have defined the industry for generations. It's this predictable yet devastating pattern. A surge in tequila's popularity happens, which leads to a shortage of mature agave, and so the price for the plant, they call it blue gold, just skyrockets. This encourages thousands of farmers to plant as much as they can. But by the time those plants finally mature 6 or 7 years later, the market is completely flooded, and prices crash, often bankrupting those very same farmers. We've seen this happen time and again. And this chart, wow. It really puts into perspective just how brutal this latest crash has been. At the peak in 2022, 1 kilogram of agave was selling for 32 pesos. So farmers who planted then were expecting a huge payday. Now they're facing a market where that same kilogram is worth just 5 pesos. It's an absolute recipe for financial ruin, especially for the independent growers who really form the backbone of this industry. But the cost isn't just economic. The relentless pressure to meet this booming global demand has pushed the agave landscape to its breaking point, and it's left behind a profound environmental hangover. To scale up production, beautiful, diverse landscapes have been transformed into these vast monocultures of just a single plant. This industrial approach completely exhausts the soil, it requires heavy use of chemical pesticides and fertilizers that end up polluting local rivers, and it has broken a vital, million-year-old ecological partnership. Let me explain what I mean by that partnership. Here's how it's supposed to work. In nature, agaves flower, and at night, nectar-feeding bats pollinate them, creating genetically diverse seeds. But in industrial farming, the plant is harvested before it flowers to keep all the sugars in the core, so farmers just replant using these little offsets, or hijuelos, which are essentially just clones of the parent plant. And the result of all this cloning is absolutely staggering. The vast majority of the 160 million agaves growing today are clones of just 2 original plants. 2! It's a massive genetic bottleneck, and it makes the entire multi-billion-dollar industry dangerously vulnerable. All it would take is one new disease or pest, and it could wipe everything out. On top of that genetic fragility, there's the waste. For every single liter of tequila that gets bottled, the distillation process produces at least 10 liters of a hot, highly acidic liquid waste called vinasse. When this gets dumped into rivers, it strips the water of oxygen and kills virtually all aquatic life. So you have all this immense pressure, economic, environmental, and of course it takes a heavy toll on the people and the culture at the very heart of tequila country. And this is a culture the whole world officially recognizes is incredibly important. In 2006, UNESCO designated the agave landscape a World Heritage Site, celebrating this amazing fusion of pre-Hispanic traditions and European distillation techniques that gave us tequila. But there's a painful paradox here. While we celebrate the heritage, the industry itself has become dominated by large, often foreign-owned corporations. These giants plant their own agave, concentrating land ownership and pushing out the small, traditional farmers, who are the actual keepers of that UNESCO-recognized culture, leaving them completely vulnerable to that brutal boom and bust cycle. Now, I know that sounds pretty bleak, but it's not the end of the story. A new wave of producers, scientists, and even consumers are now working together to distill a much more sustainable future for tequila. One of the most inspiring solutions is the bat-friendly certification. It's really brilliant. Producers in this program commit to letting just 5% of their agave plants flower. It seems like a small sacrifice, but it provides a vital food source for endangered bats, and, crucially, it allows for cross-pollination. It starts reintroducing the genetic diversity the industry desperately needs to survive long-term. Producers are also getting really smart about tackling the waste problem. Instead of viewing byproducts like bagasse fiber and liquid vinasse as problems, they're turning them into assets. As you can see, bagasse is being turned into compost or even biodegradable packaging, while that toxic vinasse is put through anaerobic digesters to create biogas that can help power the distillery. It's a true circular economy in action. And to protect the farmers, there's the Socially Responsible Agave Program, or ARS. This initiative uses a digital platform to connect small growers directly with distilleries, cutting out the predatory middlemen known as coyotes. This allows them to secure fair, long-term contracts, which shields them from the worst of the market's volatility. And ultimately, this is where we come in, because we, as consumers, are a huge part of the solution. The market is evolving. That era of just buying a bottle because a celebrity endorsed it is fading. Drinkers are now demanding to know more. They want authenticity, transparency, and they want to support brands that are doing things the right way. Which brings us right back to the final question. The true cost of tequila is woven into the land, the wildlife, and the lives of its farmers. But a new value is emerging, one based on sustainability and respect. So the next time you choose a bottle, the question isn't just about the price, but about which future you're investing in.